Anyways, Nehemiah chapter 2, and we're going to start with verse 1. I just want to share a little bit. We've been, as a church, going through the book of Nehemiah, and our series has been called Building a Church for the City. And it's, what we've been talking about is really applicable to what's going on here with different partnerships to fund church planners. And I want to share a little bit about our story. In the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was before him, I took up the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had not been sad in his presence, and the king said to me, "Why is your face sad? Seeing that you are not sick, this is nothing but sadness of heart." Then I was very much afraid. I said to the king, "Let the king live forever. Why should not my face be sad when the city, the place of my father's graves, lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire?" Then the king said to me, "What are you requesting?" So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, and that you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's graves, that I may rebuild it." And the king said to me, the queen sitting beside him, "How long will you be gone, and when will you return?" So it pleased the king to send me when I had given him the time. And I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, let letters be given me to the governors of the province beyond the river, that they may let me pass through until I come to Judah. And a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the fortress, and of the temple, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall occupy." And the king granted me what I asked, for the good hand of my God was upon me. Well, our story during the way is that we planted, we launched officially, not this Easter, but last Easter. God has blessed us tremendously. We were at Vision Tour 2 years ago, and by God's grace, we met an amazing church partner. Somebody that was able to come along, and in our story was essentially King Artaxerxes for us. That they were able to partner with us in a substantial financial partnership. And essentially, the reason they partnered with us after talking with them is because they said that the hand of God was upon us. And the reality is, guys, is that what you're going to do is you're going to meet a bunch of Nehemiahs on this vision tour. You're going to hear from a bunch of people who God has called to plant churches in this city. One of the common themes is that we have a burden for this Wichita area. There is partnership, there is camaraderie. The reality is, guys, is that some of you need to think about and pray about partnering financially with the ministries that are going on here in Wichita, Kansas. The reality is that Nehemiah made a super big request. And if you think about it, he was coming here to the king. That means it's a very high position. He was kind of like the Jack Bauer of the kingdom. And so he was security detail. He made sure that the king was taken care of, that nothing was given to him that shouldn't have been given to him. He was a highly trusted official. He cashed in his relational chips, and he requested that the king not only reverse his foreign policy, put his stamp of approval on the building project, but fund the building project himself. Guys, the reality is that some of you come from churches and you have resources. And some of you need to play the role of the king. Some of you need to play the role of the king and partner and see that the good hand of God is upon this city. The reality is that churches are being planted here. Things are happening in this city. And guys, the reality is that there's not a single one of us church planters that can take an ounce of credit for that. What Nehemiah said at the end of that is he said, "The king granted me what I asked for the good hand of my God was upon me." Guys, it is so crystal clear in the city of Wichita and the surrounding area that the good hand of God is upon this city. He desires to see this city transformed. I would urge you and encourage you, you may need to consider and pray about being a king to a Nehemiah. Thank you.